Good evening. I'm Iris Robinson, and today we're going to talk about why some K through 12 schools do not choose to encourage or produce online classes for their students. I have already pulled up Google. Let's paste that in there and see what it comes up with. Okay, it's giving us several websites that we can look at. And we're going to look at mostly all of those, okay? So, the first one that I'm going to pull up is this article that I found from Doug Johnson. The name of the article is The 7 Stupid Mistakes Teachers Make with Technology. Now, he goes on to say that he knows that the word stupid is a harsh word. So if he felt like it was that harsh, why did he use it in his article? But anyway, he goes on to talk about how that teachers has made a lot of mistakes and when it comes down to using technology. And in this article, he gives us 7 reasons why teachers do not like to use technology or why they make a mistake with technology. And that could be a reason why some of these school systems do not want to use online classes for their students. Because the first one he gives us is that they do not know how to back up the data. He goes on to say that they had that. You mean having 2 copies of a file on the hard drive does not count as backup? No, it does not. Because if you lose one or if something happens to your computer, you can lose all of your data. You need to back up your files on a drive, on another drive, on a thumb drive or something that would not be, that you can take with you in case something happens to the building or something. Then he went on to say number 2 reason why teachers have a problem with technology is that they treat school computers like they home computers. It says that the teachers who use school computers to run a business, edit their kids. They use to edit their kids' wedding videos. They use for everything than what it's supposed to be used for, which is to help the kids. That could be one of the reasons why the school systems does not encourage online classes for their students, is because the teacher can take advantage of those computers and use it for different things than what they're supposed to do. Then number 3, he said, is not supervising computer using students. And he goes on to explain that some teachers do not supervise the kids while they're on the computer. And when that happens, the kids can go into all these different websites that they don't need to be in. And they said that some schools does not even have filters on their computer that can prevent the kids from going on those different sites that they're not supposed to. And that could be a problem. That could be another reason why the schools do not want to encourage online schooling, because they cannot afford to have the filters put in place that they need. Number 4, he said thinking online communication is ever private. And he goes on to explain to us that everyone sends out an embarrassing personal email, or they send out jokes and everything. And what you do on a computer, it will stay on that computer, and anybody can have access to it that goes onto that computer. So that's another reason why I believe that most of these schools do not want to encourage it, because they can't have, those kids can go on there and they can do whatever they want to. Then it can be a problem for the schools, because they can go out there, they can go on Facebook if they don't have a filter in place, and they can send out different all kind of emails to students that they don't have, that they're not supposed to, and the school system can eventually be sued. So that could be a reason why they don't want to encourage online courses. And number 5 said believing that One's teaching style need to change and not take full advantage of technology. Most teachers do not want to change from their routine. Bringing technology into the classroom, this is my opinion, is the reason why teachers don't want to change, because they want to continue to do things the same way that they have done them for years. But nowadays we are living in the age of technology. So that's another problem that the school system has, is that the teachers does not want to take advantage of the changes that is taking place in education. So that could be another reason why they're holding back on producing online classes for their students. Number 6 said ignoring the intrinsic interest of text use in today's kids. Most of the kids nowadays that's in school, they grew up in the technology age, where most of the teachers did not. So that can be a problem for the school system, because the teachers are not motivated enough to bring the technology into the classroom, whereas the students are all motivated. And he said that not using it as a hook to motivate and interest them in their education, that word go, he said again, stupid. Okay. Now, number 7, the last point that he makes in this article is that thinking education in schools would go away. Is another reason why the school systems has not encouraged or produced online, because they thought that bringing the technology was just a fad, that it will go away. But as we can see now, technology is not going anywhere. We will have to, at one point in our time, embrace the technology that is out there for us to use. So, those are the 7 things that he thought the reason why teachers make the mistake in using the technology. And if the teachers does not want to embrace using technology in their classrooms, if they're not for it, well, of course, if the school system decide that they don't want to ask the teachers, the first thing the teacher's going to say, no, we don't want to use technology in our classrooms, because they're going to take the opinion over the teachers. All right, let's go to another site and see what it has to say. Now, this one here, it says, is online learning beneficial for students? They have a video in here, but the video is too long, so we're not going to click on the video. We're going to see what the Penn State University has to say. And it talks about, at what cost does innovation come? Well, Ali Carr Chatterman is a PhD, and she's head of the Learning and Performance Department in the College of Education. And she's been a school teacher consultant for years. So she's been in the school, so she knows. And she goes on to say that there are certain things, that there are certain concerns with the cyber charter that has brought about several important issues. So let's go through some of these issues that she said that we will have with cyber schools, which is the same as online classes. It's just that the whole the whole school will be online. So let's see what she has to say about it. She says that the cyber charter schools have no limitation on the amount of money that they can spend on advertising. And she also goes on to say that the cyber charter population tend to be bi-modular rather than similar to the large general school population with large number of high achievers and special needs. And she says that traditional public schools may pay cyber charter for every child who leaves the school for the cyber charter, and that amount could be well over $1 billion. And that's another reason. Money is another reason why most of the schools choose not to produce or encourage online students. And money stops us from doing a lot of things, okay? And then it also goes on to say that there is no real regulation on the ability of the parent to include religious education in regular school day or link religious lessons throughout the curriculum on the cyber charter if they wish to do. And most school system nowadays has separated church from the schools. So that could be a reason why when you have a cyber school, the school board cannot regulate on what you are teaching those kids. Okay, and then it said cyber charter schools use a great deal of money on expensive curriculum materials, which are generally published by the same company that owns the non-profit cyber school, meaning that the cyber schools are double dipping. They own the material that is being used. So if the school system wants to use that, it's no telling how much money they might not have to pay to be able to use that. And it also says that with the cyber schools, there are very little ability to monitor cheating, meaning that those schools, with the cyber schools, you can't monitor whether the kids are cheating or what, because they're in one place and you're in another place. So, and it says that exercising choice for individual achievement in the form of the cyber schooling will likely leave our most vulnerable children behind in underfunding schools. So, what they're saying there is that those kids that are not able or do not have a computer at home, they won't be able to take these classes, and education should be free for everyone. So that's probably why some school systems decide not to, because they have to make it the classes available for everybody. So that's enough of that article. So let's go to the next one that I have pulled up, and it says that this one said that K through 12 teachers uncertain about how to connect with students and parents via social media. Now this was done at the University of Phoenix, did this one. And they did a survey. And in a survey, it talks about how a large majority, 80%, okay, of teachers worry about conflicts that can occur from using social media with their students or parents. And it said 4 in 5 teachers use social media for either personal or professional purpose. And more than 1/3 have encountered difficulties with the students or parents attempting to connect with them via social media, meaning that after they have got off of their jobs, the parents and the students is still trying to get in touch with them. And then it also says, this article also talks about how many professionals face challenging navigating how and when to use social media, and whether they merge their personal and professional lives. So a lot of teachers does not want to be able to be hooked up to the social media for that reason, because students can get in touch with them. They can Facebook them anytime, and it's not right to them. So let's go to another one and see what it's talking about. Okay. So right here I found this one. This was really interesting. 15 months of virtual charter hell, a teacher's tale. And in this article it talks about a teacher that for 15 months he taught in a charter school. He taught in a virtual charter school, which is mean he taught in a school that was online, okay? And he gave his take on what it was when he was in the school, and he said that it was 15 months of hell. So that lets us know right there that he did not like it, okay? He says that fewer than 10% of students actually attend these classes. other than that time and any one on one session the teacher and the students might set up, okay? Which, in my experience, almost never happen, and there is no room for direct instruction. So he says that the students was not really attending the classes like they supposed to, and then he have to give the students, the online students, and give them extension that they need because they did not complete the work in a timely manner. And he says that by working in this virtual online charter schools, that none of his kids was on the same assignment at the same time. He taught in high school, and he had some that was still on the introduction assignment, the diagnostic essays, or the end of the semester project. He never had, and he found that it was impossible to meet the learning needs of his students in that situation. Excuse me. And he said he also found out that it was never about how they could support the teachers. It seemed like that this school was focused more about the enrollment, about the data and the number of students who had taken a proper number of tests, and the ranking of the school and the ranking of the teachers. And there's a market how to get more students enrolled and how to teach more families, and how to be sure that they're pre-registered for next year, and how to get the Facebook pages and other marketing information put out to the students. So what he's saying is that what he found out teaching in those 15 months was that it was more about the money. It was not about what the kids was doing. They wanted to make sure that they could get as many kids signed up, because the more kids they have, the more money that they will get. So, and it was never about how they could support the teachers during this time. And I can understand him being frustrated, because he is there to teach the students, for the students to learn. That's his purpose. But this school here was not about what the student learned. It was more about how much money that they can make. So he was frustrated. So he did not like it. So he started working somewhere else. So let's go to, I'm trying to see what else he has to say in this. Oh, he says that school served a disadvantaged student poorly. He believed that the K-12 target poor communities and economically struggling regions that are easy to influence because they are desperately seeking alternatives to devastatingly underfunded schools. They are financially strapped and are being further bled by the exodus of the students who are lured by what they see as an empty promise. Okay? And he said this is just a vicious cycle. Okay, so let's go to another one. Oh, he said, okay, now let me read that. He said the majority of the students at the school was lacking credits needing for graduation. And that is a problem that the school boards will see with the online classes, is that the kids work at their own pace. So yes, it could be a problem with them when it comes down time for graduation. They might not have enough credits that it's going to take for them to survive. So that could be a problem. That could be another reason why the schools do not want to encourage online. Okay, on this article here, it said how online learning is revolutionizing K-12 education and is benefiting it benefits the students. Okay, so it talks about how virtual online learning is revolutionizing American education, in which it has. But it also says the American students' learning opportunity has been limited and shaped by factors that is out of their control. And it said the geographic has an important factor. And it said Access to quality instructions has been another factor. Are the teacher lessons designed to instruct a classroom of 16 or more students, or tailored to her level of learning style and interest? And he's saying that for the online schools to be successful, that is certain things that you have to put in place. Now, are the school systems ready to put that in place? That's another question. We'll discuss that later. So, now we're going to change our topic a little bit, and we're going to go to the advantages and disadvantages of the online. Okay, now this is a PowerPoint that I found, and it talks about the advantages and disadvantages. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but she has her thing, but let's go to where they go talk about the disadvantages. So it's there's all now. Our disadvantages is tell us that the disadvantage of online schools is lack of personal communication and connection, and that is bad for the blended learning. And it says that most times that the online schools are focused more on memorizing over the learning core comprehensives. And then it said it's too much downtime. So let's see what else she had to say about the disadvantages. Okay, there's advantages again. Okay. Oh, here's a disadvantage to online learning. Now this could be some of the reason why these school systems do not want to encourage students to for classes online. It said learner with low motivation or bad study habits can easily fall behind. No school wants their students to fall behind. So that's a problem. And it said it can lack the routine structure, and the students may feel isolated from classroom or instructors. And it said the instructions might not always be. Then another problem, another reason why, slow internet connections. The older the computer is, it makes accessing the course difficult. Let's look at some more disadvantages. I found this article online, and it says the 5 disadvantages of online learning. And it says that it gives us the five disadvantages. It says everyone learning is different, and we know that each one of us is a unique individual, and we have our own style of learning, and that can be a problem when we go to taking these online classes. Some students learn through hand-on methods, while others memorize, or some of them just stick to the text, and that helps them to retain the material. So that's why she listed these 5 disadvantages of learning. And the first one she said is the potential for less interaction. We have some kids out there that have to do the interaction for them to be able to learn. And they go on to say that while flexibility of online learning might allow you to work from home, but one disadvantage is the lack of interaction you get with classmates and you get with your instructors. And it said online learning to limit the amount of public speaking practice you gain from the in-class presentation or discussion, something that these kids will need once they get out into the real world, because you may have to put on a presentation. But if you online, you don't do that much talking to people. You talk by emails. Okay, the second disadvantage she talks about is access to professor. It's no sit down with an instructor to discuss a topic from the class or to discuss your grade, because you're online, you will have to send him an email, or you have to chat online with the instructors. And sometimes when you type in an email, you lose sometimes you can type the email, and once you read it back, it's not what you really want to say. But if you talk to them, you'll be able to tell them exactly how you feel. So accessing the professor is another reason why that the schools decide not to produce or encourage the online classes, because the kids need to be able to get in touch with their professors at all times. Then number 3 said they miss out on non-verbal communication. And that is, non-verbal communication is important, because when you are communicating with someone, you might can't get your point across with your words, but if they look at you, they can tell how you feel. Or they can look at you and tell whether you like that or not. But with online classes, you don't have that problem. You don't know. You just read an email. Unless they type the email in all caps, you won't even know whether they're mad at you or not, or if they agree with what you're saying. Okay, so that could be a problem. Some kids need the face-to-face conversation with the teacher. And with the nonverbal clues, they're impossible online, because you can't just communicate with actual words, okay? The 4th disadvantage they talk about is potential for fewer networking opportunities. And networking is not a big thing between K through, say, 8th grade. But once they get in high school, they need to start doing their networking. That way, they'll be able to find out more about a school that they want to go to once they graduate. So it says networking is a problem, and by working from home, you can't network with other people. So that's a disadvantage. Now, the last one that they say, no facilities. It said, and this is strictly for college. Most traditional colleges offer their students facilities to use, such as a library, gym, student school, computer labs, research, and more. Online can't always provide you these helpful tools. Some things we are not able to find online, and you have to go into a library to get that. So that could be another problem. That's why most schools do not want to encourage online courses, because the students are not able to go to the library to do their research. So, all right, let's go to our next one. Okay, now this talks about the main disadvantage of internet learning. And it says that online learning has become a way in which many people are obtaining their degrees. Yes, and that's fine for adults who want to attain their degree, because online work good for them, because when you're working, you can go home after work and you can do your work. But is online really an advantage for students K through 12? So it said one of the big advantages is that the one-on-one interaction that students gets in, that's the one-on-one interaction that students will get in a traditional classroom, cannot be found in online classes. So the students cannot take advantage of talking to their peers or their teachers. They will have to communicate them through emails, and that's hard for an elementary child to do, is to construct an email. So that could be a reason why. That's another reason why schools does not encourage online courses between K through 12 because of communication. And then another, it tells us that that the online class is more flexible, as when a person can do their assignments, and they may find that they have developed a sense of procrastination, meaning that they're going to do it when they get a chance to do it, okay? And not do it when they need to do it. So that could be a problem, because once they have that assignment, they need to be able to do that assignment instead of put away, I'm working online, so it's just online. Plus, I could do it late tonight. And they get home late tonight, they're tired, they don't do it. So that could be a problem why the schools does not encourage it, because the students are not getting their work to the teacher in time. And that is another reason why is that these online classes require more technology than those that are very in-depth technology that they're not going to find much luck in. And then online classes may require more written papers than the typical class in a much shorter period of time, which means that the workload for online classes could double more than the work than they are used to doing. So that's another problem that the schools does not, why the schools does not want to encourage the online classes, because that means that's more work for the students and more work for the teachers. And the teachers right now are already overloaded. And then they said there are a lot of freedom to those students that are taking the online courses. And it said freedom can be a very dangerous thing to a person that cannot handle it. So when we give these students so much freedom as to when you can go out there and you can do your work when you get ready, it might not get done. So I can understand why the school system will look at it, well, yes, we can't have students not doing their work, so we need to put the students back into the classrooms. Okay, so now let's go and let's look at another site. Well, right here it says disadvantage involving. Let's click on this and see what it tells us. Okay. Disadvantage of distant learning. It said the flexibility schedule that makes it possible for people to otherwise couldn't attend school or get a degree. Yes, distant learning is for those people, but it's not for everybody. But we need to keep in mind that there are negatives to distant learning. Whether you live with these disadvantages is up to you. Some people consider these disadvantages all. Everyone is different, and so you have to outweigh which one is better for you. But it said the biggest disadvantage of distant learning or online classes is the need to keep yourself motivated and disciplined. We have some kids that are not motivated and that are not distant. They're not motivated and not disciplined. So that means that they don't get their work done. Because some kids that's in the classroom setting, the teacher has to sit there and tell them and encourage them to do their work. Well, for online classes, that will not happen. And it said distant learning offers a limited opportunity to interact with your professors, and this can be a disadvantage for a lot of students. And it can be, because if you need to get in touch with your professor and you're working late at night, he's offline, you got a question, it's not going to get answered to the next day. And if that assignment is due the next day, well, you're not going to have time. You're not going to have that assignment in. So it's a lot of reasons why I can understand that these schools do not want to encourage the online courses. Now, this website here, it gives us the 10 disadvantages to online courses. So let's go through it and see what it has to say. And it said, how can there possibly be any disadvantage to online courses? Read on. So it's telling us that they have already figured out what these disadvantages are. And the first one that they talk about is online courses require more time than on-campus classes. And it says students will spend more time studying and completing an assignment in the online environment than they would in the on-campus courses. And it said the The online environment is a text-based. To communicate with your instructors and other students, you must type emails, post response, and otherwise communicating using your fingers, which is typing, and probably most of us type slow. I know I do, okay? So then it says number 2 disadvantage is that online courses make it easy for us to procrastinate. And that means that we will say we're going to do it, and we have good intentions of doing it, but we let time pass us by and it don't get done. We procrastinate. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done. And we get it done at the last minute, okay? So that's another disadvantage. Then number 3, it says that the online courses require good time management skills. And it goes on to say that an internet-based course demands that you develop personal time management skills. Online courses require the self-discipline to set aside. We need to set aside a chunk of time to complete your studies. It means we have to make online studies a priority and not let any other activity interfere with it, which is sometimes we make the difficult choices. Students need to be able to have good time management skills to do courses online. And that is one of the biggest reasons why most schools do not want to encourage it, because most kids is not going to want to take the time out when they get home from work or anything, or to do their schoolwork. They're going to want to do it at the last minute. And you can't do it. To be successful in online classes, you have to know how to manage your time. All right, number 4 said online courses may create a sense of isolation. And it can, because it can make the students feel like they are isolated from their peers. They're isolated from their instructors. So, and that can be a problem. And it said your online instructor is sensitive to the problems and can help you overcome those feelings. Hopefully they can. Most likely they cannot. So that could be another reason, because the school system don't want the kids to feel isolated. Because once they start feeling isolated, they might get depressed. Okay? So number 5 said online courses allow you to be more independent. Yes, it does. Now, how many school students at certain ages are independent? Probably high school kids. But elementary and junior high level, no, they're not independent to get their coursework done. So they need that structure of the school's setting, where the teacher will give them structure as to when the classes assignments need to be done. So that's another reason why, because kids need the structure. And number 6 said online course require you to be an active learner. With online, you either swim or sink. You can't do both. If you don't get the work done, then you're going to sink. And school systems want no child to fail, because we have that No Child Left Behind Act. So that is why most school systems does not encourage online schools for K through 12, because we have to be there and have to give the students all the resources that they need so that they can succeed in life. Online classes is not for the students that is not an active learner because of that. And we have online, number 7 says online courses don't have instructor hounding you to stay on task. Most kids, the teacher has to continue to talk to them, to motivate them, to make them stay on task. Online classes, they're not going to do it. And it says, number 8 says online courses give you more freedom and perhaps more than they can handle. And it says, like I said before in one of those other articles, it talked about freedom can be dangerous if you don't learn how to handle it. And most kids does not know how to handle when they have freedom. Number 9 said online course requires that you find your own path to learning. That's a problem for some schools, for some students, because they don't know their path of learning. And it can be hard for them. That's why they need the classroom setting, so that the teachers can set their path of learning for them. And number 10 said online courses require you to be responsible for your own learning. How many kids we know, K through 12, that are going to be responsible for their own learning? Not too many of them. It said only you are responsible for your learning when you do online courses. No one can force you to do the work. You have nobody there to make you study. You can share little knowledge or experience. You can show how a few tools, and I hope you get it. But it's all left up to you. It's left up to you to make sure that you get all of this done. So, these 10 advantages is most of the reasons why the school systems do not encourage online classes. So, now, let's go back here and see what else. Is there anything else we can bring up? Okay. Okay, educating everybody child. No. Alright. Let's see what they said about these online education frequently asked questions. Okay. So these frequently asked questions that were rated to the K through 12 online education in California. And it said the online education is teacher-led education that takes place over the internet with the teacher and students separated geographically. Online education is a form of distant learning. And it's also said online education is referred to as online learning, virtual learning, or cyber learning. So, it goes through here and it gives us the different questions that it asks. But let's see if they ask any questions where the kids have had problems. Okay, it tells us about the different types of delivery. It says, how does online educational work? It says online courses are delivered by the means of software called a learning management system, LMS, which includes communication tools, instructional tools, assessment feature, software for creating an edited course. The type of online course will determine the ways in which the student communicate with their teachers. Now, that is one of the biggest reasons why most school systems does not encourage online classes for their students, because they will have to spend money to buy all this software packages, the communication tools, the instructional tools, assessment, and all that. And then they will have to spend money to take time to teach these to the teachers, so that the teachers can be effectively and teach it to the kids. And that's a lot of money when you have to go out there and put those teachers in those different classes on their time out. Okay. So that's one of the biggest reasons why teachers do not like to use, school system does not to use the online learning tool, because it costs money. Money is a factor that runs a lot of things, okay? So that's one of the biggest factors that these schools have, is a money problem, because they're not able to initialize a learning environment for the kids that take place online. And they have to make sure that the kids have all the proper equipment. They have to make sure that their computers are up to par. So that can be a problem. So now, I found let's see what this one says. It's talking about supporting the linguistical cultural device learning English. Now, okay, this is not going to benefit us for what we're doing right now, but we know what a school choice is, okay? And parents do have the choice to sending their kids to where they want to send them, okay? If they want to send them to the online classes, and that's fine. So let's look at this disadvantage of online classes and see if it's going to say the same thing that we have been saying all. Okay. And okay, this one talks about getting an online education become very popular, and it has. It has become very popular, but there also are disadvantages to the online courses. So, just because it's popular doesn't mean that it's going to be. And right here it tells us the major disadvantage for online classes is a lack of interaction. So if you're online, if you're taking online classes, you don't have the opportunity to ask questions or to hear discussion from other students. You're always there by yourself. So you have to send them an email and hope that they will be able to get back at you. And let's see what other disadvantages that this has. Okay, so it just said that the major disadvantage is lack of interaction, and that is true. That it is a lack of interaction for some kids. But I have a list of reasons that I found that the reason why schools does not like to. The main reason why schools K through 12 do not encourage or produce online classes for their students is because it lacks a personal communication and connection, and it focuses more on memorizing over learning competencies, and the students can have too much downtime. There's no grounds for social networking or web tools for the students. Learning with low motivation and bad habits, the students can easily fall behind, and the students will lack a routine structure, and the students may feel isolated from the classroom and the instructors, and instructors may not always be available, and that slow internet connection or the computer may make the access courses difficult. But one of the main reasons why schools K through 12 do not encourage or produce online classes for students is because of the cost that it will cost the school to integrate these technologies into their classrooms. I hope y'all have enjoyed this discussion, and y'all have a good night. Thank you.